What is up, racing fans, and welcome to NASCAR Race Review on Tim Reynolds Show, as we're going over the NASCAR Cup Series race from the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as the NASCAR Cup Series returns for the Brickyard 400. And start us out, the number 45 Toyota, driven by Tyler Reddick, got the pole in this one, as he had the fastest lap in qualifying to start out on the front row of this historic race at this historic racetrack. And man, we had some pretty clean racing throughout the first start of this race, and then we seen our stage one winner was none other than number 11 Toyota, driven by Denny Hamlin, as he earns another stage win on the season and also gets more playoff points to further along and further submit himself in the standings for the NASCAR playoffs as we head close to those in just a few weeks, guys. And then after that, we seen our first caution come out of the day, as the number 14 Ford, driven by Chase Briscoe, had to slow up on the racetrack, which caused the number 24 Chevy, driven by William Byron, and the number 21 Ford, driven by Harrison Burton, to have to slow up as well, creating a gap in between both of these cars, a lane if you will, and the number 41 Ford, driven by Ryan Preece, tried to fit in and just could not, as the 41 ends up wrecking out the number 21 and the number 24 car in this one, as both of those cars were not able to return after the damage that they received. We did see later on in the race the number 41 Ford also end up getting into a caution and not being able to finish the race. So we've seen this. Now we work ourselves to the stage 2 winner, which was none other than the number 23 Toyota, driven by Bubba Wallace, as he gets these crucial playoff points to get him further up in the standings, as Bubba Wallace remains just below the cutoff line for the 2024 NASCAR playoffs. So hey, after a pretty clean race and only a few cautions after this, we also had ourselves another big caution, as we seen the number 19 Martin Truex Jr., that Toyota, get into a nasty wreck after there was some contact with the number 5 Chevy of Kyle Larson. We see on the replay that the number 19 car gets loose and ends up getting into the wall pretty hard, unfortunately ending his day for the rest of the day until he was able to come out later on after they were able to fix some more damages, but pretty much did not give him a good finish for the race. And then we also seen the number 4 Ford, driven by Josh Berry, also get into a wreck when this caution happened as well, knocking him out of the race. So we would also see coming out another big caution later in the race, where the number 22 Ford, driven by Joey Logano, and the number 84 Toyota, driven by 7-time champ Jimmy Johnson, were knocked out of the race after some rough contact on some restarts. And the restarts were crazy in this one, like they always are at this sort of racetrack. Indianapolis Motor Speedway brings us some awesome racing and definitely some crazy restarts. So after this particular wreck, we also seen another one towards the end of the race that was pretty gnarly, where both the number 42 Toyota and the number 31 Chevy got into each other and hit the inside wall of the outside of pit row, and man, it damaged it, man. You seen it move and flex, and this led to another big wreck that actually red flagged the race for them to have to clean up the racetrack. And this was also a doozy, because Kyle Larson actually was having starter issues during this red flag stop and wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get fired back up, because right before that, folks, we had ourselves some awesome racing, as it was a 3-horse race, as we seen the number 6 Ford Mustang, driven by Brad Keselowski, have the lead after he did a really good fuel strategy to get himself in the lead. And then right behind him in second place, we had the reigning defending series champion, the number 12 Ford, driven by Ryan Blaney, as he was able to keep it close right behind Brad Keselowski. But in the third position was the number 5 Chevy, driven by Kyle Larson, and was he coming? When we had a restart with just over 30 laps to go in this race, Kyle Larson was in the 23rd position and found himself in the 3rd position with just a few laps to go. And these guys were battling it out. It was looking like we were going to have a 1-2-3 car finish at the very end of this, as it looked like the number 5 Chevy was going to chase down the number 12 and the number 6 Ford. But a late caution comes out, as the number 8 Chevy, Kyle Busch, was trying to be aggressive, trying to get past the number 11 of Denny Hamlin to get a top 5 spot, to get a top 5 finish in this race, and unfortunately almost wrecks the number 11 and wrecks himself out and spins himself out of contention of this particular race, which is tough to see. As a Chevy fan and as a Kyle Busch fan, he was racing really good. To see him make this aggressive move and kind of knock himself out, Denny Hamlin must have been pretty happy that he wasn't wrecked, but he ended up being wrecked out of the race himself later on as well, with one of these late cautions. But we add ourselves NASCAR Overtime once again with all these cautions, and folks, was it a doozy, as we seen the number 5 Chevy Kyle Larson get the victory in this one at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400, as him and the Hendrick team, Chevy team, the number 5 team get to kiss the bricks as Larson gets his first career victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But also, he's got 3 of the top 4 crown jewel victories that are in NASCAR for any driver, as he's not only won the Coca-Cola 600, he's also won the Southern 500, and now he has the Brickyard 400 underneath his belt for a career that continues to grow, as Kyle Larson gets his 4th victory on the season and submits himself as the top point standing driver on top of the NASCAR standings right now as we head into a break with 2 weeks off of NASCAR. Hey, Kyle Larson and that number 5 Hendrick team are looking so good. Those Chevys have been racing so good for Hendrick Motorsports all year long, and congratulations to that team on getting this historic victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard 400. Now, hey, all that's left on those crown jewel races for Kyle Larson's career is to get that Daytona 500 win, and we'll see next year if he can make it happen, as he also mentioned in his post-race interview that he will try to do the double once again next year with the Indianapolis 500 in IndyCar and the Coca-Cola 600 in NASCAR in the same night. So man, what a historic race, what a historic racetrack. I love it when the NASCAR Cup Series goes to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We always have ourselves some badass racing, and I couldn't believe this too. Well, all the drama we had in this one, guys. Near the end, somehow, some way, the number 6 car almost won this on fuel strategy alone with almost 60 laps in his fuel tank before, when we had our almost what we thought would be the final restart, we seen the number 6 pull off and run out of gas right before they dropped the green flag for one of the restarts before we got to NASCAR Overtime. Now, unfortunately, Ryan Blaney wasn't too happy about this after the race, but hey, when someone runs out of gas and moves off the racetrack, it just is what it is, and NASCAR let the wheels roll. And hey, we're gonna have to wait a couple weeks before we find out if Ryan Blaney is gonna be able to go ahead and get some redemption after ended up getting a 3rd place finish in this one, as we'll give you guys the top 5 at the Brickyard 400 in this one. Like we mentioned, the number 5 Chevy Kyle Larson gets the victory in this one, his 4th of the year. Then we also see in 2nd place the number 45 Tyler Reddick Toyota, who got the pole in this one, finishes 2nd in this one after a strong comeback at the end of the race. Ryan Blaney, the number 12 Ford, gets 3rd in this one. The number 20 Toyota, driven by Christopher Bell, finishes 4th, and the number 23 Toyota, driven by Bubba Wallace, just finishes 5th to round out our top 5 from Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series. As this has been NASCAR Race Review on the Tim Reynolds Show. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more sports news, football news, and sports entertainment content that I know all you guys are going to love. Thank you, racing fans. Thank you, NASCAR fans, for all the support. I cannot wait till we go back racing after this 2-week break. But hey, these guys deserve it, man, as it's heating up in the NASCAR, man, as we're heading into an Olympic break. So good luck to USA in the Olympics. And hey, NASCAR fans, let's go, baby. The season's just heating up as it's almost playoff time. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the channel. This is Tim Reynolds Show. Peace out, everybody.